I'm going to review. Stay. No. All right, let's go ahead and begin. We're a few minutes late, but I think you were all enjoying the food and socializing, so that's important too. Larry Haney, can you raise your hand? He's our faithful friend who puts the sign out on the street every time. And I forgot to put that as one of the reasons for knowing about this event. How is that for you? Is that the way you, how should I say this? If you've come, is it because of that sign? Because you saw the sign? 1, 2, okay. So that's another way. All right. Thank you, everyone, for filling out that survey. That's really going to help us know how to advertise and how to proceed. So again, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. We have a great group, and I know that you will really enjoy what Dr. Dan Castro has to talk about tonight. But before he does that, I want to tell you a little bit about him. But before I even do that, I want to remind you that we have our next dinner with the doctor in April. So you all should have a card, so don't lose it. Put it in a place where it will remind you that April 14, we will have our next dinner with the doctor. So Dr. Bailey comes from Hendersonville, and he's a cardiologist, hence the heart of the matter. Okay, so that's where that title comes from. But tonight we're grateful to have Dr. Castro with us. So Dr. Castro has held multiple leadership roles over the years, both in his church as well as his professional career. For many years, he served as co-host of a Spanish radio show on health-related topics in Southern California. He and his wife are very involved locally with church and leading health seminars and cooking classes for the community. Highlights of his professional roles include Chief of General Internal Medicine at Loma Linda Veterans Administration Medical Center, working as overseer for the physicians in the clinics and hospital settings. Most recently, he is the lead medical officer for the Morristown Veterans Administration Clinic. So over the last several years, Dr. Castro has developed a growing interest in diet, lifestyle, and health outcomes. He completed his board certification in lifestyle medicine in 2019 to complement his board certifications in internal medicine and geriatric medicine. He wishes to integrate his internal medicine skills with lifestyle medicine with those patients that desire to work towards better health by making wise lifestyle choices. So we're really glad that Dr. Castro is here, and his lovely wife, Lorena, is with us too. So, Dr. Castro.
You forgot the most important part. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for being our God and our Creator, and having designed us with such incredible ability to self-heal. Well, to be healed by what you have provided. So as we learn, as we share, I ask that you give us the courage to put into practice as much as we can so that we can honor you through this body that you have given to us. Be with us this evening, we ask in Jesus' name, amen. All right, so Rhoda said 45 minutes. We've got about 70 slides. We're going to blast through some of these, so hold your breath and let's see how far we go. And I should have asked for a lapel mic. Or do you have a handheld? Because I find myself restricted back here, and I'm kind of a nervous guy. Okay, avoidable causes of cancer. So back in 1981, they did a study and looking at avoidable causes for cancer and found out that about 35% of these cancers could be avoided by diet. Walter Willett, which is the guru in nutrition at Harvard School of Public Health, did a similar study and found basically the similar numbers. About 32% of cancers are diet-related issues. And the NCI did some similar studies in 2015, and all basically coming to about a third of the cancers are diet-related or factors related to diet. So what are some of the other things that can cause cancer? Genetics. We know that there are specific genes that are passed from generation to generation. Certainly the environment, and we'll see a few things on that in a few slides up ahead. And we live in a sinful world. You can do everything right to the T and still have cancer. 100% of us will die unless Jesus comes before then. And so why do we do these talks? Because we would like to die like Moses did, at 120 years old, climbing a mountain and laying to sleep. Isn't that the way it should be, okay? Rather than this gradual decline. So that's why we talk about lifestyle, nutrition, health, okay? So real quick, how does cancer form? Cancer is basically cells that replicate at an uncontrollable rate. Our body has an innate way of controlling growth. Your gut changes, turnover about every 3 days. You got a new gut lining. But it does so at a steady state, and the skin changes at a certain pace, and everything is changing here. But cancer cells don't know how to stop growing, and that'll be an important piece when we talk about one of the treatments later on. There generally is going to be a genetic change that causes the cancer cell to develop. And in our body, there are these tumor suppressor genes that are designed to basically control or limit that cancer growth. Inside the cancer, there's this, what they call this tumor microenvironment, where, so we, right now, our environment in this room is very different than the environment outside of this building, right? And I prefer to be in here than out there, okay, right now. I'm a warm-blooded, more Southern California guy than Alaska, okay? And the cancer environment, or the tumor environment, similarly has different types of cells, and in that environment, there's a certain component that it's going to be very important, and it has to do with the blood vessels that feed the tumor, and we'll talk about that in a second. The immune system plays a role. Again, all of us are on a regular basis producing cancer cells. So why is it that we don't all die of cancer or have cancer? Well, because God put in our system, because God put in our system an immune system. And that immune system's function is to serve as a surveillance system, recognize what belongs there and what does not belong there. So bacteria don't belong in the throat. You know, the strep virus, or strep pneumonia bug does not belong in the throat, so the body recognizes that. The immune system, the surveillance system, the defense system recognizes and attacks that. So in a optimally functioning body, that immune system is going to recognize that cancer cell that is not normal and doesn't belong there and will attack it and destroy it. That's when things are working the way they're supposed to. But either the cancer cell learns to evade that immune system, or our immune system is weakened because our health is weakened, and that cancer cell is able to now continue replicating and growing from there. So here's that quick slide that I was mentioning. What other things cause cancer or genetic changes? Obviously, there's the gene pool. UV radiation. So is sunlight good for you? Yes, but in a controlled fashion. You don't want to be in sun tanning booths all the time. You don't want to be exposing yourself unnecessarily at high doses of UV radiation. Those are things that will cause genetic changes and lead to cancer. So there are chemicals, a whole host of them, viruses. 15, actually it's probably more like 25 years ago, my brother was online talking with people here before social media stuff, and they were arguing whether cancer was virus related. Well, yes, okay. There are viruses. We well know that viruses can cause certain cancers. This whole issue of in youngsters given the HPV, the human papilloma virus vaccine, because we know that that virus increases cervical cancer and so on. So we know that viruses also can lead to cancer. Then there are certain toxins, smoking being the primary one, and cell division. So when you are making a copy, and then you take that copy and make another copy, and take that copy and make another copy, over time, what happens to the copy? It starts looking different, not as clear, right? So that also happens in our body. As we age, the copy of the copy of the copy is not as good as the original copy, okay? That's another factor as to why there's more cancers as we age. And again, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. We want to get to the more fun stuff, but it's helpful to have a little bit of background. So this word of metastases. Metastases is just another term here to say cancer cells that have spread from their primary site where they started. It ends up someplace else, wherever that may be. Okay, so in the illustration there, the primary tumor, the primary cancer site was in the colon, in the GI tract, and the metastatic site is in the lung because it is colon cancer that has spread to the lung. Okay. All right. Can food affect cancer? Absolutely. That was the second slide we showed. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here tonight, right? Nut consumption, there's an article, Journal of Clinical Oncology, and I realize I came up here without my glasses. Thank you, Dr. MD, for letting me be able to see better. Um, 2018, 826 colon cancer stage 3 patients, meaning it's a little bit more advanced, not metastatic stage 4, but certainly advanced. They gave these individuals 2 servings of nuts per week. One group, the other group, no nuts. Those who had nuts, a 42% improvement in disease-free survival, meaning they lived longer without cancer, and a 57% percent improvement in overall survival versus those who did not have the nuts. So what is in nuts that cause that? Well, for one, they're very high in fiber. For two, they have the right kind of fat. It is, in diabetes, we talk about a low-fat diet. It's next to impossible to have a no-fat diet. What we do want is a low-fat, and what we want in that low-fat is the right kind of fat, not the wrong kind of fat. So if we have time, we'll talk about those healthy fats. Look at the title there up on the upper left. Too much water drowned the miller. Akkermansia determines immunotherapy responses. So there's this bacteria, Akkermansia muciniphila. All these terms here to just do the tongue twister stuff. When and they checked out, when the individuals who are being treated with a certain type of immunotherapy being chemotherapy via immune function capabilities, if the individual does not have this bacteria in their system, they will not respond to that immunotherapy. It will not work, or will not work as well. i.e., the presence of this bug in your gut means that when the oncologist gives you that immunotherapy, bingo, now that stuff works. Fascinating. And we'll talk about the gut microbiome in just a little bit. So you can find out if you're one of these cancer patients and are going to be needing therapy. There are these stool kits that you can do to check out what kind of bugs you have in your colon and whether they're healthy or not. World Council on Research, World Cancer Research Foundation and AICR, which is the American Institute for Cancer Research, they came up with some recommendations that have really not changed a whole lot since 2018. And what they say is they've identified certain or given certain dietary recommendations. And if you follow each of these recommendations, for each one, you will be able to postpone having a cancer by 1.6 years if you follow it well. Next to this last slide, we'll look at those recommendations kind of as a summary as what we'll be talking about. I'll just give you one of them. It's going to say we need to avoid red and processed meats. So if you do that very well, you will postpone having cancers by 1.6 years. Particular certain cancers, which we'll talk about coming up. But if instead of what some of my patients do, having bacon and eggs every morning, you just have it once a week, you've limited, but you haven't eliminated. So you won't get the 1.6, you might get 1.3. It's better than 0, right? So whatever gradation you do, the more you follow the recommendations, the better you're going to do. Okay. So we'll start with that one. What are foods that you want to stay away from? Well, there is complete consensus on this one, and I always ask folks, if you buy a pack of cigarettes, what is it going to be stamped on the side? Surgeon General warning, right? This can be harmful to your health, and I don't remember the wording exactly, but that's the idea, right? When's the last time you've seen bacon with that same warning? Have any of you seen it? Why? When it is in the same category as tobacco, class 1 carcinogen, okay? So, processed meats and cancer, eating less than 2 slices of bacon per day will increase colon cancer risk by 18%. I have some patients that say, well, I don't fry it, I grill it. Well, that's just as bad, maybe worse. High temperature, it's the blood in the meat that undergoes changes into carcinogens. Okay, so that's the basic bottom line of the processed and red meats. What about sugar? Like I said, we're going to blast because I'm seeing the clock tick. Pictures are not totally clear, but certainly there's some indications that you do not want to be a sugar junkie. There are certain cancers in particular that are influenced by sugar: prostate, colorectal cancer, and pancreatic cancer. You can see the percentages there of increased cancer risk by sugar intake. But again, it's not everybody agrees, but there's enough data weighing towards the side of stay away from sugar. So number 1, you got to stay away from red meats, processed meats. Number 2, sugar. Number 3, alcohol. Alcohol is associated with 7 types of cancer, all the way down, and includes breast and liver. And obesity, excess weight, increased risk of cancer for a whole host of different cancers. And for lack of time, I'll let you just look at that and know that you don't want to have any of those. I'll just have a couple of words here as to this slide, health defenses that food works on. I mentioned to you that our body creates a microenvironment around the cancer, and the cancer needs blood supply for it to stay alive. So that formation, this angiogenesis, is the formation of blood cells. And so if we find ways to cut the blood supply to the cancer, you're going to basically destroy the cancer. So those are things that we want. So here are some of the foods that will cut the blood supply to the cancer: soy, tomatoes, the omega-3 fatty acids. Where do you find those? Nuts. I'm talking about plant sources of omega-3 fatty acids. Flax and chia. Okay. I don't know about avocado. Help me out. I'm not sure avocado's got omega-3. But certainly nuts, flax, and chia. Berries, red grapes, and the brassica vegetables, stuff that you had in your soup tonight. The gut microbiome. This is, let me just show you this picture. I just found that one on the internet, and that's a cool slide. Did you know that your gut is loaded with bugs, that you have more bugs in your colon than you have cells in your body? So when they say, I won't forget that. Delete. So the kind of bacteria and fungi and viruses and parasites, all of those inhabit our colon and live there by design. And that gut microbiome can be changed in a matter of just a couple of days by the way you eat, to the good or to the bad, okay? So what we want is a healthy gut microbiome, and that is provided by fiber foods. These gut bacteria feed off of fiber. So if you have a low fiber diet, you're going to have your gut microbiome starving. If you have a high fiber diet, that gut microbiome is happy as can be. And so legumes are probably they are the best, the highest fiber containing food that God put there for us. So we should be having those legumes. And some of the other high fiber foods are foods that will help that gut microbiome. You got the mushrooms. I understand you had some mushrooms tonight in your soup too. I don't know, did they have avocados? No avocados. You'll have to get those on your own, sorry. They do have omega-3? Okay, so they have some, but not the high volumes that chia and flax and nuts, tree nuts, I should say. Today, I was having a patient tell me, do you have nuts? Yeah, I have peanuts all the time. I says, not quite. And raspberries. Okay, so enough on the gut microbiome, otherwise you're going to kick me out here. I'm going to run out of time. Foods that we want you to eat. So they told you stuff that we don't want you to have. What do we encourage you to have? Whole foods, the less refined, the better. Plant-based diet. It can come under all different terminology. Vegetarian, vegan, dash, blah, blah, okay. They have all kinds of different names to it, but the basic concept and the term that you guys, many of you will recognize is this one, the Mediterranean diet. The Mediterranean diet is not one rich in alcohol and olive oil. That's the stuff that folks want to remember. But the key piece to the Mediterranean diet is that the majority of what is on that plate is plant food. And if it has any meat on it, it is a little sliver. Okay? As opposed to when you go to the Texas Roadhouse, where you get the steak as the main thing, and you have a leaf of parsley on top of it as decoration. Okay? So you got to reverse the order. Okay? And the other key component of the Mediterranean diet is that they are replacing butter with the healthy fats, and that is the olive oil. We don't want to be consuming high volumes of olive oil either, for other reasons. They like to use herbs and spices in replacement of salt. There's very little meat, maybe some fish, and I put the question mark on there because what we are learning is that fish, even though I know somebody said here, fish are good. Fish nowadays, even that salmon from way up in the Arctic Ocean still is being found with trace amounts of mercury. I have pictures from when my family and I went to the Everglades National Park. That was in 2014-ish or so. And they had this big old sign here saying, fish, basic concept of fish at your own risk. If you do fish here, don't eat it because it has high toxins, high mercury contents. Just a few years ago,
the local radio station from Knoxville that does NPR, WUOT, there we go, had a little segment, and never heard it again, never found it again, but they blurbed it out, basically say they covered it. That says, don't eat the fish that you fish out of the Cherokee Lake, because it's high in mercury. Went on to the next segment, okay. So it is a issue of concern. And what do the folks, the typical Mediterranean diet folk do? They eat meals with the family. Sit down, enjoy company, relaxation, no cell phones in front of them, no other distractors. That social connectedness that is so important. And exercise. So those would be themes that we're going to be seeing here. You had some of this in your meal tonight, I believe. Cruciferous vegetables, they are things that we encourage you to have. We would encourage you to have cruciferous vegetables every day, particularly if you are a cancer patient. There are some of the data there. It lowers the risk for breast, endometrial, ovarian, prostate, stomach, liver, pancreas, colon, lung cancer. Recognize those? Carrots. Let's say, come here with that carotenoids. Those colors are found in other orange foods. And it is not, it's just a family of carotenoids, alpha-carotene, beta-carotene, lutein. Dr. MD recognizes this lutein, good for the eyes, lycopene for prostate cancer. These are probably the most associated ones. And you're going to see this mentioned in a little bit also. We encourage you to get your carotenoids from foods and not from supplements. And that's going to be true pretty much across the board, and that's going to be one of the recommendations that AICR gives is supplements. I shouldn't say that they're discouraged, but we want you to get it from the food itself. And why? Because there is data to show, and in my Loma Linda years, I started being one of the investigators here for selenium and vitamin E for the prevention of prostate cancer. 11-year study got cut short because the veterans that were on either selenium or vitamin E had an increased risk of prostate cancer. They got more prostate cancer than those who were not on it, and it was the opposite of what we were hoping for. And why is it? The concept and the thought is that our Creator God put in the carrot not just the beta-carotene. He put in the blueberry, which we're going to see in a minute, not just the anthocyanins, but he put some other stuff in there. And many of these antioxidants that we don't have any clue as to what they are. And nobody can do a better job than my God at creating what is good for you, okay? And so he put it in a specific, special way that when you eat the carrot, when you eat the blueberry, when you eat the broccoli, when you eat the red grape, you get the benefit that is designed with it. But mankind and the scientist who wants to make money comes around and says, I'm going to extract the beta-carotene and sell this. I'm going to extract the resveratrol from the red grape and I'm going to sell this. I'm going to extract the selenium and sell this as a antioxidant that's good for you. And we mess it up because man can never do better than God. Okay. Blueberries, have them. And there are other foods with these with this beautiful blue. Not only good here for cancer, but good for your brain, good for just about anything, good for your heart, and so on. Mushrooms. There's growing data that particularly certain of these three mushrooms there are being put into the superfood category because of their health benefits. And even those little button mushrooms that you might have had are healthy for you and good for you. And also anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, anti-tumor effects to them. And interestingly, may help if you're having to undergo radiation therapy, may help you with that too. Anybody recognize what that is? Turmeric, of course, yes. Who has not heard of turmeric? Right, so all of you have heard of turmeric. How many of you guys have turmeric on occasion? All right, yeah, just Lorena, my wife, was out. I don't even remember where. I was by myself one time at home, and so I said, turmeric is good for you. I cooked a pot of beans, and I just put a bunch of turmeric. What I failed to do and recognize is that there's a limit. And boy, that was hard to eat. So get them in capsules, okay? And they'll be much better tolerated for you. Good in all kinds of different stuff. Antioxidants, good for the joints, good for inflammation, inhibits tumor blood supply, regulates tumor cell death, stimulates the immune system, prolongs cancer-free survival in mice, and the list goes on and on. So turmeric is a great spice to add into your armamentarium there. If you do use it in abundance and you are on a blood thinner, you better tell your doctor because there might be some issues that they have to be aware of. What's this? Whole grains. Whole grains, also a whole host of beneficial effects with them. I will just move ahead for lack of time. And we talked about flaxseed, the omega-3 fatty acids in there. They have studies showing how it reduces the risk of colon cancer, breast cancer, and the recurrence of kidney cancer, renal cell recurrence, and lung cancer. So here's the couple of slides. This one, 2014, flaxseed and its lignin oil components. Can they play a role in reducing the risk of and improving the treatment of breast cancer? So basically, women who had breast cancer and given flaxseed did better. It did not affect if they were on the tamoxifen. Did not work against it whatsoever. And again, helping here in breast cancer, postmenopausal breast cancer. What about soy? Soy has estrogen in it. So if you have breast cancer, should you or should you not have soy? Breast cancer responds, particularly if it's estrogen positive receptors, will respond to estrogen. But the fascinating thing is that the estrogen in soy is a different type, has a different receptor than the hormonal estrogen. So soy consumption decreases breast cancer incidence, decreases breast cancer recurrence if you had breast cancer. Do not shy away from soy. It is good for you, okay? There is plenty of data that continues to come out on that. And this is just one slide from 2024, okay? Mushrooms. Overall anti-cancer capabilities, etc. I need to get to a couple of other things. This is a fascinating double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized trial. In medicine, we love these kind of studies. That is the gold standard. When we say double-blind, neither the patient nor the researchers know what is being given to the patient. Randomized, meaning some get it, some get a placebo, and it is in a haphazard, random fashion. So you're taking a pill, you don't know if you're taking the real thing or the placebo or the sugar pill. So they did that in these cancer patients, and the pill that was given to them had these things. Had pomegranate, green tea, broccoli, and turmeric. And what they gave it to individuals with prostate cancer, and the individuals who got the real deal versus the placebo had a significant impact. Their PSA barely bumped up compared to a significant rise in the PSA of these prostate cancer patients. So let me restate. You got prostate cancer. These patients are being monitored. There's a group of individuals who chose not to have surgery or radiation. They're doing the watchful waiting, let's wait and see, okay? Which is common in certain stage prostate cancer. And one group got the sugar pill. The other group got the antioxidant pill. They didn't know which one they were getting. At the end of 6 months, if you were getting the antioxidant pill, your PSA rose just a little bit. If you had the sugar pill, your PSA rose a whole lot. Can't get a better study than that to show that these agents work. So we're going to spend a few minutes here on fasting. And the guru in this, in the world, is Walter Longo. He's at University of Southern California. And fasting mimicking diets for chemotherapy augmentation. He's got this book, Fasting Cancer. And here's the basic concept that he's come up with. I told you that cancer cells are unregulated in their growth. So what he did with his group, I won't give you the whole story. I'll give you the short version of it. He said, if we fast individuals, the normal cell recognizes we're fasting. And the normal cell says, I want to live. And because I want to live, and I know that calories are short, I'm going to turn down metabolism. I'm going to really put down that temperature, slow down, buckle up, tighten up. Because who knows how long we're going to be here without food. The cancer cell doesn't know how to do that. It's got unregulated growth. And it keeps on growing. So then, in the fasting state, he partnered with oncology teams, and they said, now give them the chemotherapy. What happens now? Chemotherapy recognizes and kills the cancer cells because they're out and about and just doing their normal hyper growth. What happens to the normal cells? They're buckled down, they're tight. That chemotherapy goes right above them and they don't see it. So less side effects and greater killing power of the chemotherapy even with lower doses. Fascinating concept that is being caught on by some oncology groups, but not by everybody, just like not everybody's quitting alcohol and eating broccoli and things of that sort. Heat. Far infrared radiation, what does it do? I mean, we know that cancer cells are heat sensitive and how it affects this heat shock protein. Far infrared radiation inhibits breast cancer cell proliferation independently, blah, blah, blah. Basically, heat helps to kill cancer, bottom line, okay? So you can do that by different modalities. The crosses here have this far infrared sauna or lamps. Great tool to add to that armamentarium that you have if you have cancer, or even if you want to avoid having it, going through those in one of those saunas periodically is a good idea anyway. Exercise. Physical activity associated with the lower risk of many cancers, and in the finer print, leisure time physical activity. Leisure time physical activity. That means you're having fun at it, okay? Is associated with lower risk of developing 13 different types of cancer. So when I think of leisure time physical activity, it's not exactly log splitting that I did some over this last week. It's necessary, but not exactly fun. I'm thinking here more tennis, basketball, volleyball, soccer, but walking, running, biking, stuff that you enjoy. Now, here's a fascinating study that got published just a few months ago. New England Journal of Medicine, a top medicine journal in the U.S., second only to Lancet from England, July 2025. And the title is here from the editorial saying, Extending Cancer Survival with Exercise, Time for Oncology to Act. And what they found is the conclusion of the study, I have it there at the bottom, a 3-year structured exercise program initiated soon after adjuvant chemotherapy for colon cancer resulted in significantly longer disease-free survival and findings consistent with longer overall survival. So you got your treatment for colon cancer, and the current oncologist says, thank you very much, we'll be just doing surveillance. What this article is saying and the editorial is saying, oncologists, your job is not over. You gave the chemotherapy. Your next job is now to tell the patients, get out there and start doing exercise. Okay? Fat and cancer. Basically, palmitic acid, different acids, excess fat, the role of lipids in cancer. I won't spend a whole lot of time in it, but obesity is, and high fat, particularly here when it comes from animal sources, is not recommended. A link between high fat dairy consumption and poor breast cancer survival. So we want to be healthy weight, lower fat diets, and notice there what the conclusion was. Women who consumed high fat dairy had about a 50% higher risk of dying of breast cancer. For prostate cancer survival, that went up by as much as 600%. If you got prostate cancer and you're having regular milk, your chances of dying are 600% higher than if you stay away from the milk. So, the editorial here from this cancer journal out of Oxford. Is it time to give breast cancer patients a prescription for a low-fat diet? The answer is yeah. So, here's the first slide, or early slide I gave you on the recommendations. Let me outline them here for you. Number 1, healthy weight. Number 2, exercise. Number 3, plant foods. Lots of it, mostly. And if you can, all of it. Whole grains, veggies, fruits, beans, nuts. Limit the red and processed meats. Limit your fast foods and processed foods. Limit alcohol. They didn't put the tobacco, but that's because everybody knows by now that tobacco is to be avoided. And limit sweetened beverages. I did not put in there the supplementation recommendation that they have, but I mentioned it to you previously. So, it brings us back to our origins. Genesis 2. Genesis 1. The ideal environment, we cannot outsmart God. We cannot do better than our Creator God, okay? And He put our original father and mother in the perfect environment in the Garden of Eden. And in that perfect environment, the diet was fruits, nuts, grains on the tree of life. And as I heard from one of the doctors from here at Greenville, when sin entered, God replaced the tree of life with the veggies. That is the ideal diet, not just for cancer prevention, but if you want to preserve your memory, you want to preserve your heart function, you want to live longer, you name it. The recipe continues to be the same. Because again, we cannot do better than our Creator God. Thank you for your attention. We've got, you tell us when we need to leave. 3 minutes, 5 minutes?
How about 10? 10 minutes, okay?
Oh, I'm not sure I'll last 10 minutes, but.
I want to say, if you were wondering where the broccoli was in your sermon tonight, it was in microgreens. Okay? So there was a combination of kale, broccoli, and red cabbage, as well as radish.
So would you say if your doctor says to have calcium and vitamin D on a regular basis for bone density and for other things, you don't take the supplement?
So calcium and vitamin D. So let me tell you what my latest recommendation is. I just gave it to a patient this morning. Calcium, the calcium requirements that the U.S. government gives are double as to what other countries recommend. And the reason for that is because we have such a high protein, and the high protein, particularly being animal protein source, creates an environment that leaches out calcium from the bone. So that for us to reverse that inclination to osteoporosis, we in the USA, you need to have so much more calcium than Brazil or a lot of the African countries recommend, where they are not consuming that amount of animal protein. So number one. Number two, on the vitamin D, and back here to the first one. So you should be able to get enough calcium without supplementation by eating your greens, Okay, the green leafy vegetables, and your plants are going to have enough calcium for you to do well. As far as the vitamin D, we are in a vitamin D challenged era. And what my review of the literature is showing is that when we do plain vitamin D and calcium, we are getting more calcification of arteries than we are of calcification of bone. And I don't want calcium in my coronaries. I don't want calcium in my renal arteries. I don't want calcium in my leg arteries. I want calcium in my bones. So and this is something I just learned about 4 or 5 years ago. There's this vitamin K2. Vitamin K2, when we are low in K2, the body doesn't have as good an ability at pushing that calcium from blood into bone. So Walmart now and other stores have vitamin D with K2. And that's what, if you're going to be doing a vitamin D supplementation, that's what it should be nowadays, in my opinion. Okay, great question.
Anyone else?
So, yeah. My stance on methylene blue is I have no clue. I haven't researched it, and I have only 24 hours in a day, and I do general internal medicine, which means I cover the whole gamut. I'm not just a cancer specialist, so I've not looked at methylene blue. So, yes.
Yeah, you said if someone fasts, the good cells, they know how to hunker down, and the cancerous cells, they don't know. The cancer cells, they don't know, and they keep growing and growing and growing. And after so long, and then people take chemo, then the cancerous cells will be killed. But how long will someone have to fast before they take chemo to be able to kill the...
Great question. Okay. So I told you I wasn't going to give you the whole story on that. So when Dr. Longo tried to present this to the oncology team at USC, they told him, "You're nuts. I mean, our cancer patients are thin. Can't put them on calorie restriction." So he and his team came up with what's called a fasting mimicking diet. And it's a 5-day kit that my wife and I have done here a few times. He now sells this proprietary product. It's 5 days where on day 1, this is what you're going to eat. Day 2, 3, 4, and 5, it's all prepared. All 100% plant-based, where in the lab, he's been able to show by giving this, he tricks the body into thinking it is fasting, even though you're getting 1,100 calories the first day. The other 4 days are about 750 to 820 calories per day. So with that, he was able to go to the oncology guys and say, "I'm feeding them. They're not going to be 100% water fast." So that's how he got to do the studies. Okay. So in the studies, it's a 5-day program of doing that, and they go through the chemotherapy regime. Okay, yeah. Now I must say, I don't know. Again, I'm not an oncologist, but that's the research he did, and again, I got to hear him present this stuff at one of our meetings. Yes?
Okay, so you stated that the estrogen on the hormone and the breast cancer are different?
Yes, so there are 2 different estrogen receptors,
Okay.
and I can't remember which one is 1 and which one is 2, but the hormone one is one of them, and the plant one is the other one.
Okay, do you have a reference for that by any chance? I'm sorry.
I don't have it here with me, but it's well documented.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just
Research.
with Google now, you can find pretty much anything. But it is well established that there are two different estrogen receptors.
Okay.
One that's hormonal and one that is phytoestrogen dependent. Yes.
Thank you.
Over here.
Just a minute so that we can, they're live streaming this tonight, so if you want to go back and listen to it, you can go to the church website.
How important is it to make certain this is all organic?
Organic. Organic versus non-organic. Great question. So here's my stance. If you have the ability to grow your own food, great. That is the ideal. That's what Adam and Eve did, okay? We live in a society where we have to buy certain stuff. If you have the ability to buy organic, great. But in my opinion, it is way better to have non-organic spinach than no spinach. To have non-organic kale, to have non-organic bananas, to have non-organic whatever plant food than not having it, okay? So it just makes me think of something else here. So in the plant-based world, and some of this started actually within the Seventh-day Adventist Church, soy substitute meats. They're highly processed. So one of the concerns was, what's better, eating the real steak versus the soy steak that's highly processed? And this is grass-fed, organic, and put all the good labels you want on it. We now have very good data to show that this highly processed soy or plant-based meat is better for you than the steak. So organic, if you can, awesome. But if you can't get it, have the plant food anyway. And there are ways here, some of the pesticides they spray on it, you can rinse. There's certain recipes which are blanking right now, but baking soda, and you can ask these two ladies here up front, they probably can give you some ideas as to how to eliminate some of that pesticide that is on some of the stuff that's sprayed. Yeah. Yes.
Hi.
And we'll make this the last one so that we...
I have a question. What do you think about fenbendazole and ivermectin?
I've read a little bit more about that than I have of methylene blue, okay? There are some reports that fenbendazole and ivermectin might have some effect on certain cancers. I have at least one patient who came to me and said that his wife has had an incredible response to it. I can't deny that. I'm not quite ready to say I will endorse it. I don't have anything against it. Ivermectin, and I might get shot down. Well, not with Trump, but ivermectin has got lots of positive effects and beneficial effects as an antiviral, despite what my mainstream medicine literature has been saying. There's enough data from other places that ivermectin works in viruses. In cancers, probably. I want to see a little more time on that.
Yeah. I have leukemia, and I refused to take the cancer medicine they wanted to give me. and I started taking fenbendazole and ivermectin and milk thistle for my liver and a few other, odds and ends. And my count came from 223,000 down to 163,500.
Yeah. See, like I say, I'm starting to see that. Again, I acknowledge it. And I think ivermectin is in cancer is going to be the same issue that ivermectin was with COVID. Because it's dirt cheap, nobody's out to make any money off of it. It's going to be hard to get the good studies on it. And I'm perfectly okay at you doing it and using it. Yeah. I don't see any downside to it, for sure.
Right, and I went to a more plant-based diet.
I'm sorry?
I went to a more plant-based diet.
Great, great. Yes. Well, thank you for your attention. Rhoda, we'll let you have the final departure.
Again, thank you everyone for coming tonight. And yes, let's give them a hand. So remember that, like I said, this was live streamed. So if you want to go back to listen to it, you can go to our website, the Greenville Seventh Adventist Church YouTube channel. April 14 is our next one, so I hope to see all of you there. And why don't we have a word of prayer before I send you off? Dear Father in heaven, thank you so much for this great presentation tonight and for what we have learned. We thank you for the food that you have given to us that is for the purpose of nourishment, but also for the purpose of healing. I just pray that you will help each person here to implement in their own lives what they have learned so that they can be as healthy as possible. Go with each person as they travel to their homes, that they will be safe, and bring us back for our next dinner with the doctor. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Thank you all.
Do they charge for the little advertisements, the church announcements that come out, like who's going to be at a church to sing or something?
Ask me that
The
again.
Greenville Sun.
Uh-huh.
You're talking about being expensive?
Yeah.
Check and see if they could do those little announcements just in that, and I think they don't charge for that.